Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. I am Ninja Guy VR and welcome to iTai. Today we are having some pretty cool special guests with me. Looking forward to talk to them. It is actually my first VR interview since I've gotten into VR, so very exciting guys. But before we go into that, I just want to tell you guys how special this interview show is. And what makes it super special is that I wear a tie. Yes, today, guys, I do have my special yellow tie, which was gifted by my good friend Zarina. Thank you so much, Zarina. This is an awesome tie with some Atari on it, controllers, start, and there's also a play here. Really awesome tie, so thank you so much. And with that said, let me just say hello to people in the chat. We've got David Wilson, welcome my friend to the stream. We've got Serena, hopefully you guys are very excited for today. We've got Dylan, hello my friend, and welcome. We've got Havlark, let's go, awesome. We've got Miss Phoenix, check out the tie, right? Yes, I always make sure that I have good tie content on my show, so happy that you noticed that. And you got Serena, who provided me the tie, awesome gift, and yes, so it's all about the tie. But enough about the tie, guys. Let's go ahead and introduce our good guest for today's stream. And it is none other than Mr. Dmaw and Mr. Brian. How are you guys doing? Yeah, it's very nice. From what I've seen before the stream, I think even Dmaw and Brian hasn't seen themselves in quite some time, so they were surprised at how much hair they had and all that. So that was pretty entertaining. Yeah, and you do guys have some really amazing avatar, I've got to say, which was created by Brian, right? If I'm not mistaken, or okay, it was Dmaw. Okay, I saw a conversation. I see.
Brian does all the hard stuff.
Oh, I see. Yeah, marketing and all that. But anyway, let's get into that. Let's get into you guys roll into Big Brane Studio and all of that. So, for the people who don't know you guys, and let's start with Dmaw. Can you introduce yourself? For people who don't know you.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm Dmaw. I'm the of Sushi Ben. It was like my thesis project in college. I went to school for like 2D animation, and then I had an idea for a VR game. And I'm 34 years old. I like long walks on the beach, and yeah, I don't.
That's good
Yeah,
enough.
I'm just a big anime nerd, and I wanted to make a fun VR game based off of a restaurant that I used to work at.
That's very cool.
And so here I am. Yeah.
So, from when did you start, liking video games, and what kind of games you're mostly interested in?
I think I've been playing games since I was like 5 years old or whatever. I got my first or Super Nintendo back in 1995. Zelda. I think Zelda's probably my favorite game series of all time. And then World of Warcraft, Dota 2.
Wow.
And then I think like what else do I play? And Final Fantasy games. Those are probably like the main games that I played and enjoy the most.
That's very interesting. Honestly, I would have not known that just with the game, right? Like, so you're very expanded in the type of genres that you like, and I really like that. What about you, Brian? So for people who don't know you, what's your role in all this big company that you guys are running?
So I'm the CTO and tech director of Big Brane Studios. So my job is basically to make all the working parts, right? Like where Kane does all the art and makes everything pretty that people want to see and comes up with all the awesome ideas. It's my job to code it all up and make it work.
Very nice. And might as well ask for you too, when did you start gaming, and what kind of games do you like?
I've pretty much been gaming my whole life, I guess. Like I got my first, I don't know, probably an NES in like the late 80s, early 90s. So, Yeah.
Yeah.
What games do you like to play,
Do
Brian?
you play soccer? Do you play?
Sorry,
Yeah.
half the question. I was
Okay.
asleep. I really like pretty much any Nintendo game, but I also play way too many. I really like the NHL games a lot. I'm a
Oh.
big hockey nerd, so I'm way into that.
Very cool, man. NHL's it's unfortunate. I find that they put it in the back burner compared to like FIFA and all of that. You know what I mean, right? They don't improve them as much as they should. I wish that they
it's the
would.
same thing every year.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. But I'm kind of curious about it. There's not a lot of information out there, and I've been wondering like how Big Brane Studio was formed. Who had this idea, and how did it all come up together?
I guess. So like I said, like Sushi Ben was my thesis project in college. I wrote like a whole big paper on the manga panel stuff, and I've been trying to like build a team for many years, and I could never find anyone who was crazy enough to stick around with me for a long time until I met Brian. And so we met during a game jam for Oculus or Meta back in 2020. And we met through that, and then we kind of I pitched some idea, and he's like, "Oh, that sounds like a great idea. Let's work." And so he's just stuck with me through thick and thin ever since.
And then originally we were doing, what was it, Oculus Start?
Yeah. I mean, I was in Launchpad, but you were like already in Launchpad that year.
Yeah, because I had been in Launchpad the year before Kane was with my other project that I used to work on, and then at the end of Launchpad, we didn't actually finish on time to submit for funding.
Oh my gosh!
The whole thing, right? It's an incubator at the end. You pitch for funding, and we didn't finish on time, so we just kept doing it for the next 6 months, and then started shopping it around to see if we could generate any interest. And 3 years later, I guess here we are.
Yeah, finally. Like a lot of that was like really depressing times because we didn't finish. It was like I had to like give up my dream and go get a job or whatever. And I was like, okay, well, so I started working on another game called Little Kitty Big City, and I did all the 3D buildings and props and stuff for that game, and trained like other artists to work on it. And I was just like. And then we finally started getting stuff like going viral on Twitter, and then that opened the door to let us like really, get funding or whatever.
That's good. Little Kitty Big City, guys, go check it out. If you are already a fan of Sushi Ben, it's the same kind of aesthetics. It has that Dmaw touch. So definitely check it out. It's really cool looking. I've only learned about it yesterday actually on Twitter. So it's pretty cool. So we know about you two, but does Big Brane Studio has other people that's working full time or any contract? Like, is there anybody that you'd like to shout out from your team?
Everyone. There's
such a big list.
Tons of them.
I think we peaked at 30 people working with us on Sushi Ben.
Oh wow.
There are a lot of people who've been involved in this project and bringing it to fruition.
Yeah, it was like 30. At our peak we had 30, and that was a lot of artists, different people doing art stuff, all contract type things. I literally should shout out everyone, but that would take forever.
Okay.
I'd have to keep the list, otherwise I feel bad. I'd forget somebody's name and be rude.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I can understand that. But it's good to know. It honestly, it's something that I was curious about. I just didn't know how many people were part of the team. Because I know that you, Brian and Dmaw, you have a very big presence in the community, right? So I wasn't sure if you guys were the only creators or if there were more people. So definitely I'll need to check back the credits and see who's part of the team.
Yeah, you can see the credits on our website. But I can say definitely people should check out Moa, the creator of Hatoful Boyfriend. She did all the writing for the game. She was a big influential part of the whole creation process. And then we have some of our other artists like Kathy, who basically came up with the whole art direction for the characters or whatever. It's her art style for like the character designs. I'm not designs, but like the 3D model style. So that's another big.
Before we jump into talking the game, actually, it's a question that I completely forgot to put in there. But Atoful Boyfriend is, that was a pretty crazy game, and I'm wondering, how were you able to get Moa, you said, right? To get in the team. How the heck did you guys just convince that person to write for you guys?
I just, so you're gonna ask me a lot of questions, and a lot of the answers are gonna be I just asked. I just sent them an email, and I said, "Here's my game concept. Do you like it? If you like it, circle yes." So then, we'll get in business together.
I am still blown away by the number of extremely talented people that Kane managed to get involved in this project just from sending them a DM on Twitter and being like, "Hey, you want to work on my stuff?" And we're all like, "Yeah."
I have like one. I think my biggest skill, I guess, is just getting people to help. So
that's a pretty cool superpower, and it did came out with a pretty cool product too. So amazing skill. All right, guys. So it's time to talk. I'm very excited. It's time to talk about the game, Sushi Ben. It is actually, I've only started VR. I've only started playing VR about 3 months ago, and Sushi Ben is the third game that I've played and finished to the end. I was very excited, and like a game, I was looking at the aesthetic and I was like, wow, I've got to play this game. So for the people who don't know, Sushi Ben was just released a few months ago, back in January. It's available on Viveport, on the Oculus Rift, and the MetaQuest and the MetaQuest Store. And the game is a narrative adventure with big emphasis on Japan style. And on top of that, it has some beautiful cel-shaded graphics, which is, basically what sold me. So Brian and Dmaw, can you guys, tell me just a little bit about the game in your own words? Yeah. I did a pretty good job, right?
Yeah, you kind of covered it. I mean, it's I wanted to try making an exciting or like a fun narrative game in VR. And I thought that it was like an area that could use, a little improvement or whatever. And so, I don't know where I'm going with this. Yeah, I mean, all right. So the game is like a narrative adventure game. I wanted to tell funny stories and have a lot of, funny moments for VR games. And I used to work at a sushi bar during college for like 7 years. And that's where the whole that's why it's set in Japan, and that's why it's got the whole sushi theme. Ben is actually like the guy I used to work with.
No way.
he's the actual chef. That's not his real name, but that's what everyone called him.
Yeah.
It's his American name or whatever. And so working there for a long time really influenced a lot of the game. And then it's just a fun little adventure about you moving to a new town. Like I like that Animal Crossing feeling of like, oh, you're riding on that train, and that's why the game starts on a train. It's Animal Crossing, and you're going to a new town, and then once you get to that new town, you get roped into this crazy adventure to save the sushi bar from some evil Landsharks or whatever.
Yeah, I like that story, and you probably sold Zarina in the chat by saying that it's Animal Crossing because she's a big fan, and she actually bought a quest just a few days ago. So
oh wow,
yeah, I think you got a new sale there.
Perfect. Welcome to the family. Welcome to the VR.
Yeah, the V family. Yeah, I don't know if there's a way to say that, but there's some, it is a very good story. I finished it to the end, and there's always something. I want to say stuff, but if I do, I'm gonna ruin some questions. So I'm just gonna continue with the questions here. Yeah. So the panels. I want to talk about the panels. So this was a big influence in the game. From what I've learned, Dmaw, this is something that you had interest in, even when you were in college. This is always something. So to just explain the panel, basically in the game there's a lot of narrative, and as you can see even in the trailer, they bring up panels in the back, and these panels you move your head around. It's really hard to explain when you're not in VR, but you move your head around, and these panels you can see like from inside of it, and it's very, very cool. It's as if like you're watching a manga at the same time as playing the game. So Dmaw, how did you thought of that? Like when did that idea came up?
I had always, because like Sushi Ben was gonna be a 2D like cartoon, and I had always been really interested in like little just using manga panels. You know, it's a popular thing from. Like, if I had to like say like my biggest influence for that, it would be like JoJo and Samurai Jack. They both use those quite a lot in the anime, and so like I got inspired by those two mainly. To do that type of stuff. And then like I was sitting in class one day in college, and I was like, some girl was giving a speech on, shout out to Catherine if you if you ever hear this. She was giving this speech on like why it's hard to tell stories in VR, or like what are the difficulties or whatever. And during that speech, I went home and I was like watching JoJo, and then I saw these like manga panels pop up, and I'm like, oh, that's what I'll do. That'll fix the problems. Because like something with something about VR is like it's lacking film language. And sure, maybe the sense of presence should be enough, but I think if you're just reading dialogue a whole lot and then there's no like extra stimulus, it can be kind of not as exciting as it could be. And so like I wanted to add these use these manga panels to add film language, like extreme close-ups, insert shots, flashbacks, that you normally can't do in VR because you don't get camera cuts.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
and it's funny because just adding the panels, it adds more time in the playability, because yes, you're reading the narration, and then you're taking the time to look at these panels. Like there's just so much on the screen. It's just nice taking the time to do all of that. It's an amazing thing, and that's what I like about VR, is that you can finally experience things that were impossible on flat screens. So it's such an interesting idea, and it was so well executed. So hats off for that. It's pretty cool. So we're saying that it's a narrative experience, but that's not everything. Like the game has a lot of elements that keeps it interesting throughout the whole game. So it does contain some really fun mini games. Can you talk a little bit about some of the games that you can encounter while playing the game?
Sure. Yeah. I don't know if Brian wanted to talk about that or not.
I mean, I'll talk about the technical side of them. If you want to talk about like, the ideation stuff first.
Yeah, sure. So we had I basically just had a stuff that I like, just classic game type things that I like doing, like Animal Crossing, bug hunting, and fishing. And so like I wanted to do like bring those into VR. So like you can do fishing, bug catching, ghost hunting, which you can see right there. There's like archery, there's walking a dog. There's like a weird stone carving mini game thing that was really fun.
Yeah.
And then what else is there?
Boar catching. We're gonna cheat. We're gonna look at the trailer.
Catching, animal catching. Yeah. There's just so much little activities to do.
Yeah.
And there are a ton more that didn't even make the cut for so far.
Okay.
What was it? What did I? Oh, that was cleaning. Ping pong. Table tennis. Table tennis too.
Table tennis.
Yeah. Table tennis is actually one of my favorite.
It's a fun one,
actually.
And it's cool. It's not you didn't took the realistic approach of it, you're seeing everywhere else, right? It's really like arcadey, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, one thing Brian really likes, I'll let him probably say more, but Brian's a big like Nintendo fan, and so like Mario Tennis, stuff like that.
I think that games should be accessible and easy for just anybody to pick up and play. I think they should be just fun and simple and engaging in that way. I don't think they necessarily need to be realistic. And that's one of the things that I've seen way too much of in VR, is that it's just like people go for ultra realism, right? They want things to be physics-based everything and super accurate, and that's cool. There's a place for that, but it's like, I don't know, it misses some of the magic that those old Nintendo games had.
Yeah.
I like that. It's true. And you guys have been talking a little bit about some events. Guys, there's there's a Discord for Sushi Ben. It's in my description if you ever want to join. And the developers here, they really, it shows that they like the game, because every time we have a conversation about Sushi Ben, they're always in there engaging with us. They're really into it. And lately they've discussed about some events that they'll be adding in there. Dmaw, can you talk a little bit about the ping pong event that?
So something that I want to do, I haven't been able to like make a little announcement for it yet. I'm still thinking about it. Okay. But basically what we're going to be doing, we just had a patch recently where you can now go play all the mini games as many times as you want, because before they were locked in the story. But now after you beat the game, you can play all the mini games as many times as you want. And so for table tennis, we added like a difficulty setting. So you can now like choose how difficult it is. And so like I want to do in our Discord, I want to have like a little community challenge where whoever beats the character on the hardest mode gets like a special role in the server and gets access maybe to like their own little hall of fame type thing. So I just have to...
possible.
What?
The hardest one?
I
don't know. Like I can't beat it because I'm old. So.
Yeah. So that's the thing. I wanted to talk about that actually, because I think that's what you had in mind, like that it was impossible to beat, but then someone figured out a way to,
So so like in the game, there's a quest that you're supposed to lose. You're supposed to lose to the main table tennis character, Aika, and you're supposed to lose to her. And so we thought it was impossible, but some little kid on TikTok comes rolling up and is like, "Hey, I beat it."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "No."
Yeah.
And so, but that was almost believable because you only had to score 3 points to win.
Okay.
For that one, but the hard mode that we have now is even harder than that, and it's a full 11-point game.
Oh my gosh.
And it is. The hardest mode. So like, there's two modes. There's a normal mode, a hard mode, and then an endurance mode.
Okay.
In endurance mode, there's a like 0.001% chance for you to score.
Oh my gosh.
So, because like it's like that's like how often the character could possibly miss. So it's really kind of more of an endurance thing than a skill thing.
And Brian totally tested that to the end, right, to make sure that everything was working.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's beatable. I'm sure. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Good luck.
Oh my gosh. So before we get into it, more questions, something that I want the chat know is how long the game is. So in your opinion, for someone who just started, who's trying the game for the first time, how long do you think it can take to complete the game?
I mean, it took me the 7 hours to probably play through the whole 7 hours of game without skipping anything or doing like trying to go really fast. Mm-hmm. So I imagine it should take most people around that same amount of time. People have gotten lost, and so it might take them longer. But
okay.
I think 7 hours is 7 to 8 hours is a pretty average playthrough. I think
also, if you get into it, a lot of people are going to want to take their time and like really look at the panels and check them out and stuff, and it might add a little bit of length to it just for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's, I mean, if you compare it to other,
your audio,
hello, can you hear me now?
Yeah, you cut out a little bit. Yeah, you're fine now.
But yeah, I think compared to other VR games, the length is pretty long.
Yeah,
I think
that's the thing. So that's exactly why I wanted to ask this question, because that's something that I was really surprised at when I played the game, and because like I said, it was my third game and I finished the other 2 games. They took like 2 hours each, to complete. Yeah. So it was definitely my first like true VR experience that was very long, and you really get a bang for your buck. And I agree with you, Dima. I remember I told you I was about 3 to 4 hours in, and you're like, "Oh yeah, you have about 3 hours left."
Yeah.
You said that on Twitter, and you were absolutely right. It took me like maybe another 3 hours, and I was done with the game. So
Yep.
it's definitely the amount of time that it can take to beat the game.
Yeah, it's I think that's pretty decent for But-
Yeah. So
Oh yeah, we also timed it out a little bit for there's a mode in the settings that's off by default, but you can turn it on where it'll autoplay the dialogues like one after the other. So when the text finishes, it'll sort of flow into the next one.
Okay.
And if you play it that way, I think it winds up taking what is it, like 7-8 hours?
Yeah. And it depends how fast you walk too. You know, the map cuts off.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true. Of course, like the thing is, for a first playthrough, I would not advise that because sometimes you can miss out on panels, and
Yeah,
panels
so that's
why it's off.
okay.
That's why it's off by default. That's why it's off by default. Is because we
Yeah.
had that same problem originally. Kept playing. We were all like, we want to keep looking at the panels, but they keep getting skipped, and then we're like, oh, we have to make
Yeah, that makes sense.
off.
Also, for the guys who get lost, there's literally 2 things that tells you where to go. So you can watch your watch, which will point you where to go, and there's like a big light in the sky that shows you where to go. So please don't get lost, or else
Something about that.
Don't ask. We'll gladly help out.
Yeah, if anyone ever gets lost or they get stuck for some reason, they need help, feel free to join our Discord and ask. We're always there. But so something about that though, the the whole like guiding the player where to go type of thing, because the game isn't really meant to be like you don't get too rewarded for getting lost, at least not yet. Maybe one day we'll get to add some fun little side stuff. But like, we didn't want players to get lost because it's like a, it's a narrative game. You're not supposed to get like super lost. So that's why you see all those like beams, and then there's also a map that you can see to show you where to go. And
lots of elements. That tells you for sure. But yeah, it's not a game where even if someone tells you where to go, it's not like, it doesn't feel like, it's not cheating, because it is a narrative experience. So it's not like you feel like you're cheating in the game, because it's just where you need to go. So it's not
exactly.
so bad. There's a question.
No states on anything in the game either. Like when you're playing the mini games and stuff, like even if you lose in some of the mini games, the story still adapts and continues, right? There's nothing, you never have to like restart or die or anything like that.
Exactly. I understand that. There's a question here for Brian in the chat. Serena says Brian likes NHL games. Are there any hockey elements in the game?
Unfortunately not. My last game that I made was called Super Hockey Ball. It's actually a VR hockey game where you run around and hit a giant ball with a stick. But we didn't really bring any of that sort of stuff into Sushi Ben.
Maybe one day as an Easter egg, we'll throw a hocky.
Yeah,
we might toss some Easter eggs in there or something.
Fingers crossed. Maybe a table hockey or something. That would fit well with. I can't remember her name, but the ping pong person is she's a physical education teacher, right? So she could do any kind of sport. So the game is 8 hours. It is a narrative experience. So I'm wondering, how can you make the player not bored of your game, right? It's people always talking, and so how did you make it so throughout the whole game for the player not to get bored?
I think it's the manga panels and the writing. I mean, and the voice acting.
Yes.
For me, like
so
like
much.
the manga. I've played versions of the games where there are no manga panels. It's really not as enjoyable for me because I kind of I like to get distracted.
Yeah. I fall asleep honestly when
So like reading, I get really tired reading. But the voice acting is so crazy good, along with the writing, that I personally don't get bored. Like I don't know, I haven't really talked to people who don't enjoy playing narrative games that have played our game. But yeah, the writing is just so good with the voice acting that I always laugh.
When we were making it, we didn't have any voice acting in it, right? Like that came way later toward the end of the process, just because it takes so long to get all that. Like the scripts have to be done, it all has to be timed out and then recorded and then mixed and put in, right? So for a while we had nothing, and then we were using like the AI voice thing just for the development, so we could kind of get an idea what it might be like, and we were like, okay, this is kind of cool. And then when we finally got the real voice acting in there at the end, it was mind-blowing to me. It was like, oh wow, this is
it's totally
different game and way better than it was before.
Yeah.
You guys got really some amazing voice actor, and we'll be talking about that too, because we have to. It's just crazy, the quality of voice acting. I'm happy that you said that about the script, Dmaw, because this is personally so visual novels. I can't play them because I literally fall asleep for some reason. But this game, something that really got me throughout the game is that it's the writing, because you keep encountering new characters, even at throughout the game, even at the last minute of the game, you encounter new characters. Not only that, but the script, like they keep all of the previous stories relevant. So there's always, and like the previous characters, they're always coming back with their story. And so it's nice knowing that, oh yeah, I wonder what's going to happen to these guys later in the game, even if, it might not be relevant. There's always, you always keep everything interesting. And it's just something that I wanted to add. And this is the one element for me that kept me going,
Yes, we originally had wanted to make a game like multiple events happening and kind of like be very dynamic story-wise, and you did one thing happen, and that wound up being like way too hard for us from a like scope, like just how much that we had to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it took a really long time.
Yeah, so but what we did do is we did make it dynamic where you wanted, but we did make some quests that you have to do first before so that as you progress through the story, you'll eventually meet everyone, so you won't miss anything. So you'll meet everyone and get to see all the little stuff that happens, and that's something that Moa really made sure that she did when she was writing the script, was to always include characters from past quests that you had unlocked or like met already into the future quests, so that she succeeded and exactly what you said there. So yeah, that was a big conscious thing that we did.
Yeah, amazing. Amazing script writer for sure. Dylan in the chat says Sushi Ben has a pseudo Chemnu vibe to it, only with better voice acting. So that's an interesting thing.
Hey, sailors! Who could ever forget tell me where the sailors are? Where?
Oh my gosh, the sailors!
Best voice line. Yeah, Shenmue is actually kind of an inspiration for the type of game that I wanted to set out to make, and whether or not it wound up being kind of like that, Shenmue definitely had inspiration for the game.
That's really good. I didn't thought of that. I did play a lot of Shenmue actually, I think last year, and it didn't came across my mind at all. So it's interesting.
You know how it has like a ton of mini games and stuff like that.
That's
so
true.
That's kind of that's kind of like the idea. We originally had wanted more mini games, but that's all we could do.
Yeah, there's still quite a lot, so that's good. So finally, we're gonna talk about the voice actors. So Sushi Ben is fully voice acted in Japanese only, and like I said, it's very high quality. Can you guys talk about the voice actor that you worked with, and how was the experience with them?
Well, because they're all in Japan, me and Brian, but Moa, she was in there with the recording at the recording.
Right in the important part.
Yeah, I know, right? Every time the important part.
My internet.
Yeah.
My internet. I think. What was I saying? Me and Brian weren't there. Okay. And Moa, she was in the studio with the actors, and doing all that stuff. And she, she told us a bunch of stuff how the reactions were, and the voice actors loved the script. They loved working on the game. They want the game to get an anime so that they can come back and do their roles again.
Oh man.
Everyone that worked on the voice acting stuff loved it. From the recording studio, they were all super amazing, super high quality, super professional.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Crocodile over there in Japan. So that was kind of just like a dream come true for me. It's something that I've wanted since I ever had the idea of making this game. I really wanted to have like a full, I wanted to make my own anime, that type of thing. And so when I tried really hard to get the voice acting to become a thing, and I wasn't expecting to get such famous voice actors that we got, like Sho Hayami, who did Aizen's voice in Bleach. Like, to me, that was like one of the hugest highlights. Like Bleach was the first anime I ever saw in Japanese. Before that, it's all like animes with English dubs and things like that. And after that, I fell in love with Japanese voice actors, and so just it was crazy.
Yeah, by the way, rest in peace, Sakura. Today we got the news of him passing away. So very sad day. Very big influencer, for manga and all of that in North America, especially, right? So big shout out to him. But yeah, the voice of Minami. I mean, I've heard her previous work, and she's put so much emotion, so much effort in the voice acting of Sushi Ben. Everyone did, honestly. Yeah. And I know I can understand like how proud you must be of having people taking this so much seriously, and having the quality that it all did. So shout out to that.
Well, so something about that is that it's because the script was so good, and because we kind of let them act how they wanted to act. Like a lot of shows, they have to like do something that the director says, or be a certain way that the content requires. But we were just like, just do what you think is, what you want to do. And so they actually had a lot of input. They even changed. So even mid-recording, like in the studio, they would actually change the script mid-recording.
Wow. Okay.
So they often would go in and do what they thought was better for that line, and so that kind of went back and forth with Moa, and it just turned out to be something really special. They all, like I said, they all loved working on it because they all got to act however they wanted. Mm-hmm. So it's I don't know, for me it's a dream come true. Ryan's not as a big anime fan as me, but like I grew up watching like almost all of these actors as a kid. So it's, I don't know, it's wild.
I have a feeling that next game will be like totally different. It'll be like a ninja game, and it's going to be about avenging your, with like super realistic graphics. Like you guys have like so many different tastes, right? So it's going to be interesting to see the next project. Speaking of next project, is there any chances that we'll see Sushi Ben expanded if it does pretty well? And can you guys, if you're allowed, can you share is it that if you do it end up expanding, if it will be a DLC, a sequel, or a free content or anything like that?
It's gonna be a sequel. If anything gets, but that's a big if. We don't.
This audio thing is amazing. Every time you ask a question,
hello,
you get right to the good part, and then it cuts out.
Okay, it's gonna be a sequel.
Okay.
Anything.
Okay. Great.
Like if we ever do anything again, we want it to be a sequel.
Okay.
For various reasons. And we don't know. Like we honestly have no idea. It all depends on how well the next ports do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it unfortunately it comes down to the financial side, right? Like if we can make it work, we definitely want to do it. There's still plenty more story to tell.
There's there's a ton of stuff that we have somewhat begun to plan already, and stuff that we didn't get to do. There's so much. There's endless. This is probably not.
Sorry, cut out a little bit again.
God, so annoying. Sushi Ben for me is a game that I want to just keep making content for, even
Yeah.
when I'm like ancient. You know, that's what it is for me. I'm sure Big Brain as a studio will probably make more than just Sushi Ben one day. But for me personally, I want to keep it rolling as long as I can.
I like that you say that. I know a game where the developers are like that. They're like, we're always gonna work on this game, always.
Yeah.
And they're called Calico. I don't know if you know it.
Oh yeah. I know that game.
Yeah, these guys, that's what they want to do.
game.
They just want to keep developing for Calico, and it's pretty amazing that they have that
Yeah.
mindset.
I mean, on the development side, a big part of it is making sure that whatever we're making is exciting for us, right?
Yeah.
We want to have fun with it too, because if we don't have fun with it, why would the players have fun?
Yeah. Absolutely. So you did mention about working on other ports. So this is very exciting. You guys, you guys are working at some pretty crazy projects. So from my understanding, there's 3 kinds of ports that you're working on, and that's been announced at the moment. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Brian, you want to say anything special?
Sure. We've got the most immediate one, probably, hopefully, is we are working on the PlayStation VR 2 port.
Very exciting.
So hopefully we'll be able to get that going. It's pretty close. We just have to go through the whole, submission and approval process with Sony, and the final QA, testing and stuff like that, and then we'll hopefully be able to announce a date relatively soon.
Yep.
And then beyond that, we are working on the Steam version and a flat port of the game so that people will be able to play it outside of VR.
Yeah.
That is very interesting. So, PS, sometimes Sony can be hard to get in contact with. So, congratulations on getting with them, and
they like us. They're excited for it.
Yeah.
They send me emails all the time, being like, "Hey, are you guys done yet?"
Yeah, they've been waiting a long time. They were one of our very first. They've been wanting to.
I'm sorry, Dmaw. You cut out again.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's not the internet, because your camera is like fully clean. It's just sometimes the audio cut out.
This never happens, so it's weird. Let me.
Are they running out of batteries or something?
Oh.
Maybe plugging in my headset will.
Okay. No, that's good. I'm happy. That you got Sony on your side, and the PSVR 2 enthusiasts. They're really supportive, and I think like they buy literally every game that comes out on PSVR. So, fingers crossed that it does well on your end.
We hope they like it.
Yeah, and Dylan has a very interesting question here. He's asking, possible physical release. Would that be something to be considered if you release it?
Depends what console it comes on.
So I can't go into too many details about it, but we have talked about doing a physical release before. At the moment, I can say that there's nothing in the plans. We're not gonna be able to pull that off anytime soon.
We know who to talk to if we do want to.
Yeah. Probably limited run games, but anyway.
Yeah. But if things go well with the Steam release, like if the Steam release, the PSVR release, to go well, then that opens up a whole lot of doors for us to do more ports to different consoles and various other things. So.
Yeah, and personally for me, I would be super excited to be able to put that PlayStation box up on my wall. That just would be like a
I would
dream.
want that. I would want that. I would want that too. Yeah.
That's like an achievement. That you're physically out there. It's just kind of cool. Exactly. David is very excited about the flat screen version, and that's really interesting. This is the first time, I see a lot of flat screen game that comes and get ported onto VR, but it's the first time I hear about a VR game being ported on flat screen. So are you guys able to talk about some of the challenges that you're having porting the game on flat screen?
I mean, for me, from my area, it's making position. you know, doing that kind of setting up the scenes so that they look good.
Okay.
And then I think making sure that something I want to experiment with is like making the manga panels maybe slightly rotate or something while they're on screen, because on flat mode, as you can see on the screen here, you lose like 90% of the cool factor without being able to see the depth to them.
Yeah, because in VR they're super immersive. You can like lean around and change your perspective on them and really see inside of them. But
yeah, I built whole worlds inside of them.
Yeah, it's crazy. And so guys, if you want to see like some ideas that Dmaw is having with the flat screen, or even if you have suggestions, I'm sure he's open for them. Go check out his Twitter. I have his Twitter in my description if you want to follow him. Same with Brian here. I've got the Twitter also for Big Brane Studio and Sushi Ben. So they're all there. Just follow them if you want to see more updates on the game. And Dmaw definitely has some nice ideas for how he wants to make it work, and it's definitely something that I would see work. You know, just rotating the angles with the controller and things like that. So good ideas for sure. In the chat, I think we got a fan here. Voltaire says, "Yo, just to the top, just the post on X, and I had to come and tell I love Sushi Ben." So
thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Oh, 100% Sushi Ben in Walkabout.
Yeah, dude. I want Sushi Ben and Walkabout now.
They should just scrap the new announced Wallace and Gromit and just put in Sushi Ben.
No. I want that too. Though. Don't get rid of that. Keep that.
Oh
but then Sushi Ben. I think our map would make a great golf course.
Yeah, that's true.
And if they don't do it, I'm gonna do it. So.
You're gonna make a
I'll make
DLC.
my own golf mini.
Yeah,
I'll make my own golf mini game. Sushi
exactly.
golf.
Yes, great name. So outside of Twitter and Discord, is there other places where people can go to keep up to date with the game?
I mean, they should definitely wishlist it on Steam.
Okay.
Wishlisting it on Steam. That's the most important thing. That would, even if you've already owned, go ahead and wishlist it on Steam.
Definitely.
That's our biggest.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about that too, because since we have a little bit of time, you guys release a demo of Sushi Ben on the next fest.
Yep.
Was that impactful? Like, what was the reaction during the next fest when people tried your demo?
I think the reaction was generally pretty good. Like we had a few technical issues here or there, which is to be expected, right? Because we're now, instead of just supporting the Quest, we're supporting like 50 different headsets on Steam. So that was a little bit of a challenge, but it seems like it went pretty well. And the response generally from most people seemed to be just that they wanted more of it.
Yeah.
It's great. It's all we can ask for.
We finally, we got we got a great response from it. Some people actually, other VR content creators saw it for the first time, which was nice. It was good. It was good all around. Positive press, great.
Love it. Yeah. I gotta agree with that. So guys, go ahead and wishlist. I'm always good at putting links in my description, but I completely forgot to put a Steam. But if you want to buy the game now, though, I do have the link for Viveport and Quest, so go check it out. It's available, not even in App Lab, it's in the full store, Quest approved. So check it out. Fully developed. No, it's not in early access or anything like that. It's a full game. Unfortunately, during the last update, version 62 of Quest introduced some bugs for I think Unreal Engine games, but it is now fixed and the game should run super smoothly.
Yeah. I feel like it runs better than before.
Yeah, exactly, right? So I've got one last question for the both of you. And chat, feel free to put in some questions if you have any. We'll open up the chat for some questions afterwards. But we'll start with Dmaw. So Dmaw, if you were Minami's salary man, How far would you go to keep your position? Would you be yeah?
I can't legally say things that I would do.
I'm not ready for that.
Well, would you be willing to sabotage Ben's sushi place?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
Tough one.
Yeah.
I can't. I don't know. Food is very important to me. I don't know. Ben sushi is probably. That's tough. That's tough. It depends.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know how to answer that properly.
Yeah. I don't think you'd make a good salary man. A good Minami salary man. Yeah.
I mean, as much as I'm a big fan of Minami, I think I would like to eat
Yeah.
bits more, maybe. Yeah.
So Brian, if you were Minami's salary man, how far would you go to keep your job?
I mean, I guess that depends on the other opportunities in the town, right?
Yeah.
What other work can I get?
I think the only other work you can get is find ingredients that the sushi place would take, like
you could go work on the farm, farm some rice with Gen. That'd be great.
I could see being a rice farmer with Gen. That sounds pretty good.
Yeah, I think that'd be pretty cool.
I think Minami's gonna run out of
she's running
a salaryman, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of players who are looking to see.
I mean, there's a special option. We give the players an option to join Minami at the start of the game now. So,
exactly.
So
feel
free to join her if you
want. Yeah, I mean the game. Not to spoil it too much, but the game don't last as long when you do. But
Yeah, I mean, I would call that the bad ending. But you can join Minami's.
Yeah,
exactly.
Good luck. So Kay Perez does have a question. We answered it before, but he came in the chat a little bit later, so we're gonna ask it again. He's asking, how many developers did it take to make this game?
A
lot. Yeah, close to 30 at its peak, but it's not like it was 30 the end.
Yeah, it wasn't through the entire time.
Yeah, understandable.
But like just to sort of break it down a little bit and give an example of why it had so many people, right? Like the game is so deep and the story is so long that we had to have everything written by Moa. Like she did nothing but write the entire game the whole time. She did some like character art and stuff like that too. So don't get me wrong, she did more than just write. But like
she did a lot. She did
a ton of stuff. But like primarily she was just focused on writing a really good story and making it as awesome as possible. But then we had to do all of the modeling and the texturing, and Kane was in charge of a whole bunch of artists, incredibly talented people and then the character designs. We had
music.
A dedicated audio person who did all of the sound effects and music for the game. Was just one guy. He did a phenomenal job. Wow. And then we had a team of like 5 or 6 different programmers who were each responsible for like a specific thing. We have somebody who mostly focused on building like the core background infrastructure that made the game work, and then some other people that focused just on mini games and things like that.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome, and it's good on you guys, because I know a lot of devs who they like working alone, and when it comes to the idea of like expanding and asking more people to help, they really have a hard time like breaking that barrier. So the fact that you guys were open to have more people in the team helping out and all of that, that's really good, and that probably helped making a better product in the end. So
we have a pretty good process going where Kane will come up with some amazing ideas, and then I'll say no, we can't afford it, and then we'll argue for a while and then find a way to pull it off.
Yeah. Very nice.
That's how it works.
So we're a little bit over the hour, but we do still have questions in the chat. Are you guys still available to?
I'm fine.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So Dylan is asking, any dream VR projects or oh wait, sorry. Dylan had another question before. I'm gonna get to that one first. He says, based on how later sales turns out, will that dictate whether you stick with VR or flat, or are you a VR right to die kind of dev? So would you?
Can I go first on this one?
Yeah, you answer that one.
All right. So I got into VR. Actually, I got into development in general because of VR. Right. Like, I hadn't been a developer before. I did other stuff, and then I bought a Vive in like 2016 and planned on returning it, and figured like, yeah, I'll just check out what this VR thing is about. And then instead of returning it, I wound up buying like a baller computer to be able to run it better, and then realized I had the world's most expensive gaming rig, and was like, oh, I guess I'd better learn to do this. So yeah. So no, I'm all in on VR. I would love to keep making VR projects. It's just it's the type of game environment that I always imagined when I was playing those old Nintendo games as a kid. So
yeah, I'm the same. I only wanted to make a VR game. And the only reason why we were making a flat game really is because so many people want it.
Oh,
You know, like that was like so. Yeah. I get comments like if anyone's ever been on my TikTok, you know the comments are just like, please, no VR, please make a non-VR mode. You know, just line for line for line, and I'm like, all right, fine, you know, I'll do it. So I don't really like. I would prefer to keep making VR games as long as I can. You know, as long as me and Brian can keep doing it, we would like to keep making more VR games. So
that's great. It's a good question because you know what, now, you know, because you were going in flat, it's something that I was wondering too. You know, you never know how it works. So I'm happy that you're listening to your fans, and you also brought up a new side branch of the game to see, you know, if Minami was hiring because of all of the fans. So you know,
yeah, that was literally added just because of all the comments.
Yeah.
People being like, "Is she hiring?"
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly. K Perez is asking, what about other dubs? So do you guys plan on maybe putting some English dubs or European dubs in the game?
Yeah. I mean, we want to do as much.
Sorry, you cut out again. Yeah.
Yes, we want to do as many different types of localizations as possible. Like right now, it's only in English and Japanese.
Mm-hmm.
We would also like to add many more languages, but I would like to do as many dubs as we're able to afford, or as long as it makes sense to do.
Yeah.
I'm personally. Huh?
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh no! My dream was just to have the Japanese, but if enough people really want English, then you know we want to do English. So.
Yeah.
Or any other language.
We definitely have plans to do the text localization at least into several different languages, and that'll be coming out hopefully later this year. Don't have any firm timeline on that yet, but it's definitely in the works. The dubbing into different languages might be a little more challenging, but we'd love to do it.
Yeah, like we're even open to doing like fan dub at some point. So like I know we want to do an official. At some point we would like for the English cast if we can afford it, you know, type of thing. But if people want, you know, we are open to like a fan dub or something, or you know, whatever. But for now, we don't know. Everything's up in the air. We really don't have, really not sure what the future holds. So.
Yeah, definitely. You know, that's the unfortunate thing, because when I don't understand Japan, so I was reading the text and then I was just going, you know, I was not appreciating the whole text. So it's definitely something that I would love to replay if it's dubbed in either French or English, you know. So
yeah.
How did the game do in Japan? That's a good question.
I think I mean considering we didn't have any any ability, it did pretty. It's our second biggest market right now, our second biggest sales. So
wow.
I think it did pretty good. The perception was pretty great. You know, all the reviews have been really awesome from Japan that show up in the store.
Nice.
So yeah, it was good. It's just we had very limited marketing at all. Like obviously we didn't have a budget for it for various reasons. And so like it's basically just us pacing the game as much as we can, and so it was hard to hit multiple regions.
Yeah. I can understand that for sure. we had a little bit of a conversation, me and Brian, in the Discord, how difficult advertisement and stuff it can be. And I might have been a little bit harsh. Sorry about that. But
I mean, that's all valid. It's all stuff we already think, so
Okay.
it's not like
yeah,
you said anything that was shocking to us. We already know.
Yeah.
We all think the same thing. Like, I did not want to market the game. I didn't want to have anything to do with it. We wanted a publisher to do it, but we wound up not having that happen. So,
yeah.
We also
That's what happened.
Because we'd originally planned on having a publisher, right? Then our expectation was we could allocate like this much time and money to building the game, and then somebody else can handle marketing it. But then when we wound up not working with a publisher at the end of the day, then it was like, well, we still have to finish the game that we planned on making, so we didn't have as many resources left over to put into marketing.
And that's why there's only 2 languages on launch as well.
Yep.
Couldn't afford, because all of our budget was made for and all that extra stuff like localization, marketing was all supposed to be done by a publisher. But things didn't work out, and so
it's true. Like, having a publisher, right? They help with resources for languages. They help resources for ports. Wink, wink. So hopefully, maybe the next game. Now you have a amazing game in your portfolio, right? So I'm wishing you guys very much luck. I want you guys to succeed, have a publisher for your next game at the very least, and I'll cross my finger for you guys.
Thanks.
But yeah, this is all we had for the interview. It was amazing talking to you guys. I've learned a lot more about the game, lots of stuff I was interested about, but thank you so much for making me understand a lot of stuff. So is there anything else you'd like to add before we end the interview?
There was something, but no.
I mean, the biggest thing I've got is thanks for playing it. I'm glad everyone.
I'm glad people play it. Thank you. Also, shout out to anyone TikTok. Thank you for always supporting me. It's been, I couldn't have made it this far without our Twitter followers. They boost our content, and that's what got us kind of like, be able to do this kind of stuff. So I really appreciate everybody.
That's awesome. But with that said, thanks again, everybody. Thanks everyone in the chat for joining in. Hopefully that was interesting. Let us know if you're late to the party. Let us know in the comments if there's any other type of interviews you'd like to have. And but yeah, maybe we'll get Brian and Dmaw to do another interview when the sequel comes out or when the next game comes out. So put in a little bit of views out there. But with that said, thank you very much, everyone, and have yourself a wonderful weekend. Bye.
Bye.